Alright folks, tonight we're diving headfirst into the wonderful world of North Korea, a country shrouded in more secrecy than a clandestine meeting of Bigfoot enthusiasts. We're talking about a place where the internet is about as common as a unicorn riding a kangaroo, and where the leader's haircut could spark international debate. Get ready to have your minds boggled, because we're about to uncover some of the most bizarre and fascinating oddities that you'll only find in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Buckle up, because this is going to be a weird one. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably take for granted the simple pleasure of glancing at your phone to check the date. 2023, right? Well, not so fast, my friend, not in North Korea. Because in this bastion of chronological creativity, they decided to throw the Gregorian calendar right out the window and say, you know what? We're doing time our way. And by our way, I mean they invented their own calendar system, a system with a starting point that might surprise you. You see, in the land of the Kims, the year isn't 2023, it's Juche 113. That's right, they decided to base their entire calendar on the birth year of their eternal president, Kim Il-sung. Talk about making sure your legacy lives on. It's like celebrating your birthday and deciding that from now on, everyone has to mark time based on how many years you've graced the planet with your presence. Happy birthday, Steve. It's officially Steve year 35. But here's the kicker. They didn't stop there. Oh no, my friends. The North Korean government took this calendar recalibration to a whole new level of you've got to be kidding me. Because in this new Kim-centric calendar, the years before Kim Il-sung's birth, well, they simply don't exist. It's like they were never even there. Poof, gone. Imagine trying to explain that to a history buff. So, you're telling me that Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, and the entire Roman Empire all existed before the year 1? Preposterous. By erasing history and replacing it with their own version of time, they're essentially saying we control the past, the present, and the future, and that, my friends, is a level of control that would make even the most power-hungry dictator blush. So next time you're tempted to complain about the Monday blues, just remember that at least you're not living in a world where it's perpetually Kim year 113. Alright folks, picture this. Thousands upon thousands of performers all moving in perfect unison, creating a breathtaking spectacle of color, music, and synchronized movement. No, I'm not talking about a highly caffeinated marching band competition. I'm talking about the Arirang Mass Games, North Korea's answer to the Olympics, a dash of Broadway, and a sprinkle of how in the world do they do that? Imagine a stadium so massive it could make the Coliseum look like a kiddie pool. Now fill that stadium with over 100,000 performers, all dressed in brightly colored costumes, their movements as precise as a Swiss watch. We're talking gymnasts, dancers, acrobats, and even children as young as 5 years old, all moving together with a level of coordination that would make a drill sergeant weep with joy. But the Arirang Mass Games aren't just about sheer numbers. Oh no, my friends, this is where things get really interesting. Because these games are essentially a giant, choreographed love letter to the Kim dynasty and North Korea itself. We're talking giant mosaics depicting scenes from Korean history, with a heavy emphasis on the heroic deeds of Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and of course the current supreme leader Kim Jong-un. Think of it as a history lesson, a propaganda extravaganza, and a Cirque du Soleil performance all rolled into one. And the music? Don't even get me started on the music. We're talking soaring anthems, traditional Korean folk songs, and enough patriotic fervor to make your head spin. It's a full-on sensory overload, designed to leave you breathless, awestruck, and maybe just a little bit terrified. So the next time you're struggling to get your cat to sit still for a photo, just remember the Arirang Mass Games and the thousands of North Koreans who have been trained since childhood to move in perfect unison. Chapter 3. Juche Ideology, Self-Reliance or Self-Delusion. Alright folks, let's talk about Juche, because you can't really talk about North Korea without talking about Juche. It's like trying to talk about America without mentioning apple pie. Or trying to talk about England without mentioning the Queen. Well, you know what I mean. So, what exactly is Juche? Well, it's a complex ideology, a philosophical mishmash of Marxism-Leninism, Korean nationalism, and a dash of we're going to do things our own way, thank you very much. At its core, Juche emphasizes self-reliance, national sovereignty, and the idea that the man is the master of his destiny. Which on the surface sounds pretty good, right? Who doesn't love a bit of self-determination? But here's where things get a little tricky. Because in North Korea, Juche has been twisted and manipulated to justify the Kim family's iron grip on power. It's self-reliance, but only under the watchful eye of the supreme leader. It's national sovereignty, as long as you agree with everything the government does. And as for man being the master of his destiny, well, let's just say that destiny better align with the goals of the Workers' Party of Korea. Imagine a world where your government tells you that you're completely self-sufficient, but then rations your food and controls every aspect of your life. That's kind of the vibe with Juche in North Korea. It's like being told you're free to fly, but then being handed a pair of concrete shoes. Chapter 4. The Ryugyong Hotel, North Korea's Phantom Pyramid. Alright folks, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the giant pyramid-shaped hotel that's impossible to miss in the Pyongyang skyline. I'm talking, of course, about the Ryugyong Hotel, a building so infamous, so shrouded in mystery, and so consistently unfinished that it's earned itself the nickname Hotel of Doom. Now you might be thinking, a hotel's a hotel, right? What's so strange about that? Well, my friends, the Ryugyong Hotel is no ordinary hotel. It's a 105-story, 1,083-foot-tall testament to ambition, hubris, and the perils of economic mismanagement. Imagine a building so tall it could cast a shadow over the entire city of Pyongyang. A building that was supposed to be a shining beacon of North Korean ingenuity, a symbol of their technological prowess and economic might. That was the dream at least. But reality, as it often does, had other plans. Construction on the Ryugyong Hotel began in 1987, during a time when North Korea was still receiving significant economic support from the Soviet Union. But when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, North Korea's economy went with it, and the Ryugyong Hotel, along with countless other ambitious projects, was left in limbo. For years, the Ryugyong Hotel stood as a giant, empty shell, a concrete skeleton looming over the city, a constant reminder of what could have been. It became a symbol of North Korea's isolation, its economic struggles, and the often bizarre priorities of its government. While the exterior of the Ryugyong Hotel was eventually completed in 2016, the interior remains largely unfinished. The Ryugyong Hotel, despite its gleaming facade, remains a mystery, a symbol of North Korea's enigmatic nature and its ability to both fascinate and frustrate the outside world. Chapter 5. The Internet of Things, North Korea's Digital Disconnect. Alright folks, in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information, where we can access the sum total of human knowledge with a few taps on our smartphones, it's easy to forget that there are still places where the internet, as we know it, simply doesn't exist. And I'm not talking about your grandma's house where the Wi-Fi password is written on a sticky note under the router. I'm talking about North Korea, a country where the internet is more of an exclusive club than a basic human right. You see, in North Korea, the vast majority of citizens don't have access to the global internet. Instead, they have something called Kwangmyong, which translates to bright light. But despite its optimistic name, Kwangmyong is more like a dim bulb compared to the dazzling supernova of the World Wide Web. Imagine a library where the only books available are a carefully curated selection of propaganda pamphlets, government-approved news articles, and maybe a few cookbooks thrown in for good measure. That's kind of the vibe with Kwangmyong. It's like being given a toy car and told it's a Ferrari. Sure, it might look like a car, but you're not going to win any races with it. But despite the North Korean government's best efforts to control the flow of information, cracks are starting to show. Smuggled smartphones, black market DVDs, and whispers from the outside world are slowly chipping away at the wall of digital isolation. So, while North Korea might still be the most digitally disconnected country on Earth, it's only a matter of time before the bright light of the internet shines through the cracks, bringing with it a wave of information that could change everything. Outro North Korea, a land of contradictions. So there you have it folks, a glimpse into the strange and often baffling world of North Korea's unique oddities. From their Kim-centric calendar to their synchronized spectacles of mass propaganda, from their homegrown ideology to their unfinished architectural marvels, and their tightly controlled information superhighway, North Korea continues to fascinate and confound the outside world. It's a country where the past is constantly rewritten, where reality is carefully curated, and where the only thing more powerful than the government's control is the resilience of the human spirit. So, the next time you find yourself feeling lost in the digital age, take a moment to appreciate the bizarre and often baffling world of North Korea. It's a reminder that even in our hyper-connected world, there are still places where time moves differently, where reality is a matter of perspective and where the human need for connection can find a way to bloom, even in the most unlikely of places.